All right, y'all. Welcome to Books That Built Me. The podcast where mindset meets style, and every page leads to transformation. I am your girl, your host, and Taja Shabir Moore, mindset and style coach, guiding you through the books that shape my confidence and refine my image and rebuild how I show up in the world. So, on each episode, we are going to uncover the wisdom between the lines and how it lives in our closets, our thoughts, and our decisions. Yes, even them little quiet ones you want nobody to know about, because this is coaching talk, okay? Not just those for the books, all right, but for women becoming more of who they were always meant to be. So, with that being said, let's get into it. So, episode 9 is going to deal with mindset, and this book is around a black girl's guide to self love. Now, this is definitely by a black writer. And when I originally first got in this book, which I'm going to give a total 5 out of 5, and it's just probably because of the style. It's so unique. I have yet to have another black author really feel as though I resonate. Every time I'm interacting with mostly black women, it's always drama. You stole my man or you took my man. So to have somebody that's really positive in your life and shine that type of light into where your darkness is a very unique character. And that uniqueness is special. It's uplifting. So that's why it's so unique and rare, if anyone was confused as to why I said that. And then when you have, it reminds me of the comedians in the world, like a Bernie Mac or Martin Lawrence or a Will Smith. You have people in the world who are gifted with the thought of comedy, the authenticity of allowing people to laugh. Liddell Crawford, like you have Tyler Perry, you know what I mean? And it's so sad because I constantly will find myself, God bless those people who are in the theater of dealing with the comedy spirits, because when I'm really dark and I'm really having this era where people are constantly having these thoughts to make my life darker, the only thing that brightens up any of those days are certain type of comedians and people in this world. So God bless those entities and their career paths. We ask you to do these things in Christ Jesus' name, amen. Right, and then that's how I manifest those type of thoughts and ideas that are really authentic. So this title is dealing with speaking of unapologetic, soft, and actually powerful. So unapologetic, soft, powerful. Yes, let's say it again. Unapologetic, soft, powerful. Yes. So why is that so though, Antasia? Let's kind of sort of break down why you feel this way. Okay, well good. Let's you know what I mean. So why? Yeah, why? So softness equals safety, not weakness. And this is true. I'm set and like so with my baby daddy, y'all already know who that is, DeAndre Maya Booker. Hi, hubby, love you. And so, what that means is that when he holds me, he knows my body feels like a molding jelly to his thought and spirit. And it molds to the point where it's noticeable. Oh my God, I'm so soft in all the right places in comparison to his hardness, in comparison to his body, in comparison to his. And he knows this. I don't have to trick him, force his arm, as my girl Gabrielle Union would say, the little toughest, baddest little cookie in the world, and her daughter is beautiful. And the things that she's going through right now is so sad with the transgender guy dealing with Dwayne Wade and how they finally had this battle before they finally came to actually become one. It's just so sad. And I guess the world is have to have that fine balance, bro. We really just do. And so that's definitely a key piece of what this whole entire young lady ideas and thoughts that she gives is about. So I definitely rate this again 5 out of 5 stars. And at this point in time, I don't even know if this book was free, if it was like $1.99, but it was on barnesandnoble.com. So that definitely, if you're looking to go there to find out some more about this information with this particular book, I definitely encourage you to visit her in that space and community. And so when you think about the thought that softness is in a need of protective, that protective reminds us of being placed inside of a safety bubble. You protect it in the safeness so that people who are out to harm it get hit with an electronic current shock and it sends them backward as a repellent. It's the same thing with your person, your husband, your $1 million date, the guy that sees nobody else but you, the person that you're dressing to have for who you're wanting to manifest. That's them. So this is going to deal with your mindset. This is for sure, because some of these issues in this book that really resonated so well with myself. For number one, it's just definitely going to be the black idea of the female that is African American rooted, and the African thought process is such a rarity that people wanted to kill her. They only killed her in order to really feel as though they wiped out the entire ability to necessarily multiply. That was why they killed the women. They didn't want them to do so, so therefore they became extinct. Period. Simple as that. Very sad, very traumatizing and scarring nonetheless. And nonetheless, that's the stock that we're built from, that we come from. And that's why it's always so sad when I feel like so there's black on black crime or women who hate other colored women. And your color, it's so devastating, it's heartbreaking, it's infuriating, it's fracturing, it's to our economic system, to the fact that we never can have a black person run the world. Like, we are so damaged and broken down in our spirits based off what took place in history. And then you have, oh, the greatest person in history was the poorest. And now all of a sudden we're in COVID and can't nobody go anywhere. And the first person in history was to walk the stage virtually is your host and say, this your Britta Moore, graduating alumni from Southern New Hampshire University. I had to do that. And not because I wanted to, but because people didn't want to stay home and then chose to go head out when we were supposed to have stayed and had a girls' night in at home. That's why I'm considered one of the greatest women in history. And the poorest of them all, because you can't wait to tap me in my pocket so that you can feel clout and I can feel, simply put, the darkness that goes on behind it. And that's your come up. That's what you proud of. It reminds me of dealing with Mike Epps when they say, you happy because your son's a fag? Like, but you happy that that's your come up plot. That's your come up scheme. That's a weakness. So when you feel as though you're soft, and one of my other ladies that I follow as well on Instagram, she said this so beautifully. You have to remain in your womanhood even when hard things are going on. Do you know how simple that is to do? You are a woman and you're a soft entity, and everybody around you is just hard as nails, butching it out, and whatever else is going on take place that allows that to express their thoughts because that's what their heart is telling them. Versus or being able to say, well, that's going to go on regardless of if I remain in my softness or not, so I might as well remain there. Instead of changing and going through all that unnecessary sex transitions and coming out the closets or whatever else, save myself that mental stress and headache. And the fact that you hate me because of that says so much more about you than it does about myself. So be very, 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 very aware of that. So, and unapologetic about it. And then what's really sad about that, I was working one day and I was getting ready to move out somewhere. And before I did something else, I started to apologize. And I caught myself dead mid sentence, dead as I swear I had to do that. And by the time I chose to do that, I completely went about the other way. Nope, unapologetic. Simple. And that's really how you have to get yourself. That's really how where eventually you have to get to the point that that's where you see yourself. So that's the shift. So this particular shift within this particular book was feeling as though I was the only black female and really allowing that to resonate. Especially on Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings, I looked around, there was no other black females where I was particularly had found myself at. None. There just weren't. And even let's say for an example, that's the norm. And I'm not saying that I can't talk to all kinds of people because I love my white people. Don't even get me wrong. Like, I can't help but love you because you're a part of my history now. And I can't just blame and assume that all of you were just wrong to us. Like, I'm not that type of female. I really want to believe in the goodness of my own ancestors, no matter what their colors are. But see, again, that speaks more about me than necessarily what somebody else did to me. No matter if it was slavery, taking my money, stealing, none of that ultimately shapes who I am because I choose who I allow to shape what it is that they see. And by studying, going into school, even though people hate that I've been educated, they did anything and everything to make sure that I did not become educated. And people of your own color most of the time. My black girl. If you really had another black girl hate on you and you a black female, then you feel my pain. If you ain't been through that, then you don't feel my pain yet. Maybe in another lifetime, next lifetime, you may get there. Even though I don't wish it on any of my enemies. The body says all the time, I won't even wish that on my worst enemy. And sometimes you got to understand that. That's real. And it just is. It's not because you're trying to be funny or fake or anything else. It's just that you really want to remain true and authentic to yourself because that softness is a power. And that powerful woman that you're stepping into and that you're becoming is really a lady of a magnetic sense and energy. You just are. And there's nothing really wrong with that. I mean, people can try to fool you and try to say all kind of negative thoughts and whatever else, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and assume that that's the reality that you have to live by. The choice is yours ultimately. And you know, in order to scale and become the woman that you want to be, what you have to do. And you know that if it's not necessarily what they talking about or reasoning, things of that nature, that that's not what you're going to choose. You know that's not for you. And how do you know that? You know that because you know the woman that you're trying to manifest and become. So it's easy to figure out yes or no. So that's what this book awakened and then myself, my mindset was just becoming really aware of the simple fact that I myself was not really trying to just be around black people all the time, but black people who are really loyal and kind and sincere. Yeah, that's true. And being around just other people who are of a Caucasian color. And you know what? I'm going to say this. I saw the beautifulest Caucasian young lady, and I almost felt disappointed. You know what I mean? That up until, of course, this that particular point in time, meeting this young lady, beautiful, stunning. The Caucasian means literally the most beautiful people in person. And even with our black girls, I had gotten so sad because I have never yet to really see a black female that was really kind to the spirit that I truly believe she was authentically so. You know how hard that is to find out here. And by the time I finally found her, man, I just bless her spirit. God is just running through this young lady's veins, and you have no choice but to submit to that power. And that's just what it is. And even with the Caucasian, same thing. You have no choice. That powerful. Yeah. No, there's no choice. And so, you know, people don't always get to do that. You know what I mean? I saw one lady one day, she was a white lady, and she was speaking. Her voice was so soft. I literally felt my voice drop 5 or 6 octaves just to match her energy. That's how soft spoken and beautiful and pretty that she sounded. I know people probably think I'm lying, but I swear to God, I'm speaking from an honest, sincere spirit. I kid you not. So that's a real lifetime moment. I was working. The lady was so beautiful. I had a few other episodes where I was working at Nordstrom. That was, I saw the most beautifulest white young lady I've ever seen. But she was so sweet. She didn't have no black man trying to fit in, running around, trying to get married, and boop, boop, pop, 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 boop, boop, boop. And the fact that we want to kill so many of our black women, it's like we're extinct. So now we don't even remember what the black woman looked like. There's no more black race. Basically, they're all just interracial or mixed or biracial and completely light with blue eyes and light sandy colored hair everywhere. There's no black authentic ladies. And I thought that was the most devastating and heartbreaking, fracturing thought that I had ever had. And that was really why I wanted to pour into this episode, pour into this series, so that we can really understand that. And sometimes people say that they kind of sort of feel brainwashed or something like that. Yeah, because when you sit down and you watch all of these TV shows, like my daughter, she does bubble guppies. There's no black females on bubble guppies, none. So immediately you begin to forget what they look like because we're so busy killing them. They don't even want to remember. I mean, but how could you? It's murder. It's rooted in negativity. And have I known some murderers? Yes. Have I realized sometimes that God went down and hung out with them? He reached all people. Yeah. My uncle, I have uncle, is committed manslaughter. Okay. I have a best friend now who always have to say free the homies. You know, committed murder, first degree. And I'm not saying that she didn't have a hard life. I'm not saying that even my half uncle did not go through his fair share. I am not going to say that. Okay, he came from a young lady who was a black female, my grandmother, and they had some issues that happened between his father and her. Now, I just recently ran into some information and I immediately put those thoughts into motion and I just felt this energy. Okay, I cannot explain it. It's almost like quantum leaping. You're experiencing some kind of deja vu. You're in that moment, but it has yet to happen, but you are constantly there. That's what it feels like. That's the type of powerful that I'm talking about. Okay. And again, when we are kind of sort of trying to figure out why that's not a weakness, because you're aware of it. It's only a weakness when you're unaware of how soft you are. It's only a weakness when you allow your softness to become diminished so that you are a replica of the things that you dislike instead of becoming a mirror of the things that you enjoy. That's the only time where you can really say, this is something that's considered weak about me. And again, I have said this repeatedly, weakness cannot exist in a power evolving universe. And people have been on my line, hanging on to every word every time I utter something like that similarly. And it has landed me in hot water so many times. But the fact that it did always allow me to express the power for thought between, just because I landed in it, that doesn't necessarily mean that I also can't land up out of it. Just as quick as I got in it. That's the powerful part. Because I see you checking for me. I see you checking for not just for me, but I see you checking for the woman that I'm trying to become and do something that is to her that's coming from a derogatory spirit. So now I got to confront you, but de-escalate it. So you don't feel as though I'm winning and you losing, but I'm doing so at the expense of you. Because now I'm doing so on the expense of my own time. You want a part of it because you want to be similar in that mindset, but you can't do that and still come across as somebody, so you're gonna throw them bows when I didn't deserve that type of behavior. You can't have both. You're gonna serve one master with love and you're gonna hate the other one. Which one is it gonna be? That's the powerful moment. You got to have love for all people in order to come across and pop off in the way that you did, not hate them. And that's why you in their faces trying to skim. You know what I mean? How people had a recipe and they lock it up, and then somebody go in and break in and be close with you and prevent you so they can get the recipe and come up and they become a competitor and you can go out of business, but they stay on the rise. It's the same thing. It's like Abel and Cain all over again. The black women are constantly the number one target. The males can go ahead on and populate whatever they want. It don't mean that that's the person for them, that they want it. It's the only option they have available. That's what they believe. It was either that or become so celibate to the point like as in Jesus Christ has did and not have nothing else there no more. And that's what you have to kind of sort of understand. That's the powerful part. So anyway, there you have it. The style connection I want y'all to do for your wardrobe and your body language based off the Black Girl's Guide to Self-Love is practice your self-love inside of your very best type of outfit. Don't say, "Oh, I'm black. I can never wear that. Only white girls can do that." Or never shortchange yourself. I don't want us to do that. I really want us to kind of sort of be able to say, yeah, since I feel this way, I'm going to have this in my wardrobe anyway. And that's just what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go too extra, too far, or too left. But because I'm already the only black person in this whole entire sphere, I might as well just show up as the bomb female that I am anyway then. Because I'm already drawing attention. I'm the only black person here. So definitely keep that in mind. So that was the style connection for myself when dealing with our wardrobe. And then a client takeaway I want y'all to have as advice is just recognize that sometimes that's just how it is. When you really are kind of sort of like, wow, I'm the only person here of this race. That is so sad. Well, you know what? Hug and embrace that. You know what I mean? Like, please feel as though it's okay to understand that about yourself. Because it is. It's okay. Stand firm and confident in that. Stand in that softness and realize that that's your safety to know this about yourself. And it's okay. Simple as that. It's okay. And there's absolutely everything right with that. So yes, that woman is okay. So there you have it. And then the style prompt that I want you on to do is choose one thing today that makes you feel held. No matter how many tears, no matter how many times you have to get them out, no matter how many times, and even if you are the only black person in a whole crowd of nothing but one race, okay, and have those moments that make you as though that's something that's not something else that's for you. It is. And it is something that you have to hold firm to your affirmation that I am okay. And when you feel as though you're not, Turn to somebody who you know is really going to be that sounding board, so that when you have those vulnerable moments, you can allow yourself that moment. Because emotionally, we know that a woman's thoughts are powerful. So they can cause tears, laughter, arguments, shade, disagreements, shoplifting, thoughts of having somebody, you say what? We understand this. We understand it's a power evolving universe. We know that. So when you can really have those thoughts that go on and you really feel as though this person is good enough to actually allow you that expression, and then you can get close enough to your own thoughts of that type of expression and still feel held, that's where the challenge is. And you can do those things, but you really have to realize that when you do those things, accept what follows that. Okay, with courage. Okay, and watch your life manifest your dreams. So the style prompt is: choose one thing today that makes you feel healed, emotionally or physically. All right. With that being said, thank you for joining me for another chapter of a book that built me, your girl. So if this episode shifted your mindset, and maybe I'm just gonna tell y'all now, it's even elevated your style, okay, please do leave a comment and or a review. So after you do those things, remember, you're not just reading books, okay? Because actually you're rewriting the woman you're becoming. So make sure that you wear your truth boldly. And guess what? Until next time, yep, I'll see you all then.